Sweden's vast interior, a wild and rugged stretch of land that contains some of Europe's last unspoilt wilderness areas, and is characterized by towering mountains, impressive plateaus, deep canyons, and endless forests. A place unlike any other region in Scandinavia, this area offers some of the most diverse landscapes of Europe's far north, marking the transition from the high mountains in the west towards the endless plains and rolling hills in the east, and further covering several climate zones from subarctic in its far north to temperate in the south. Much of it remains sparsely populated until this day. Besides Östersund, one of Sweden's few cities not situated near a coast, there are mostly smaller settlements scattered throughout this vast region. This leaves more than enough space for some of the country's largest and most beautiful national parks, nature reserves, and wilderness areas that protect a wide range of landscapes and are home to many of Northern Europe's iconic wild residents. While many national parks, nature reserves, and wilderness areas can be easily reached by car, it is important to keep in mind that the access roads only take you to the park's boundaries. Unlike in the US, or in some parts of Canada, most of Scandinavia's national parks have not experienced such heavy development, with paved roads leading deep into the wilderness areas and numerous developed campgrounds situated along the way. Instead, you will find large networks of hiking trails and some mountain huts out here. Besides that, many secondary roads in Sweden's remote backcountry are unpaved dirt roads. Even though most of them are in very good condition, this means that you will have to allow for some extended travel times when visiting these regions and parks. However, don't let this discourage you from exploring as much of Sweden's remote interior as you can, as you will be rewarded with spectacular landscapes where you can experience some true Scandinavian solitude and, if you are lucky, lots and lots of moose and reindeer. In the following sections, I will take you on a journey through the stunning landscapes of my favorite national parks and nature reserves, exploring the vast interior of 2 out of Sweden's 3 wider regions, Norrland, which means northern Sweden, and Svealand, meaning central Sweden. Along the way, I will highlight the best places to spot Scandinavia's iconic wildlife, or to simply enjoy some peace and quiet, based on personal experiences from my recent outdoor adventures. Over the past years, I have returned several times to enjoy the pristine wilderness of Scandinavia, something that can be found nowhere else in Europe. During these visits, I have done it all to explore Sweden's stunning outdoors, from hiking, camping, canoeing, and fishing during the summer to snowshoeing, snowmobiling, and skiing in the winter. There are several airports as well as long-distance routes connecting Sweden's interior globally. In Swedish Lapland, you are able to start your trip at one of the region's 2 major airports, flying into either Luleå or Kiruna, and then taking a rental car from there. These access points are closest to a number of attractions, including Muddus National Park and Sarek National Park. Östersund is one of the largest cities in Sweden's interior, and offers an international airport that is located near E45. Here you are closest to Västerbotten and northern Jämtland, as well as the Härjedalen area. Scandinavia's busiest airports are located near Oslo, Stockholm, and Gothenburg, all of which can be reached from the remote interior of central Sweden within a few hours. This includes the Glaskogen's nature reserve as well as Dalsland. While the entire region can make for a spectacular visit at any time of the year, both the large distance between Sweden's far north and south, as well as the large variety of terrains, bring with it some distinct climatic differences. Summer can bring extended periods of warm and sunny weather during those long summer days. And speaking of long days, those last well into September, especially the further north you travel. While the summer weather can be quite pleasant throughout Sweden, keep in mind that summer in Scandinavia means all kinds of hungry bugs, so either pack enough bug spray or plan your trip for late summer or early fall, around the end of August and early September, as this no longer is the peak season for mosquitoes. Winter, on the other hand, guarantees you the best snow conditions for all types of winter outdoor activities, as well as exceptional chances to spot those iconic northern lights. And no matter when you are visiting this area, keep your eyes open for moose along the way, as they are active year-round. Swedish Lapland encompasses Norrland's far north, reaching from Sweden's northernmost point up high in the Skandes mountain range to the rugged coastline along the northernmost part of the Baltic Sea. With the Arctic Circle running through the center of this area, part of Swedish Lapland can be attributed to the Arctic polar region. This means that here you are able to experience those famous natural phenomena of the Arctic, such as the polar night and the midnight sun. The interior backcountry of this area contains an exciting mix of unspoilt landscapes, vast protected wilderness areas, and world-class destinations for any type of outdoor activities, with hiking, fishing, camping, and skiing being amongst the most popular. E45 leads right through the beautiful interior of Swedish Lapland, running from Sweden's northern border with Finland all the way to the central provinces. In the fall of 2023, I flew to Luleå, which is roughly 2 to 3 hours from Laponia, and with it, the very heart of Swedish Lapland. Over the course of about 1.5 weeks, I explored Laponia's vast protected wilderness, covering large parts of the region's Skandes mountain range, as well as the adjacent rugged foothills. The entire region became a UNESCO World Heritage Site due to its natural and cultural significance, with a number of Scandinavia's largest national parks and nature reserves protecting the area. This part of Swedish Lapland, therefore, is very sparsely populated and only partially cultivated by the region's native Sami reindeer herders. This also makes Laponia one of Scandinavia's hotspots for wildlife viewing, offering great chances to spot both moose as well as reindeer out in the wild. Laponia contains 3 of Sweden's largest and wildest national parks, including Sarek, which protect the area's high mountains, as well as Muddus National Park, which protects a rugged and densely forested area in the foothills of the Skandes Mountains. Once I reached the Laponian area, I planned on exploring Muddus National Park on a 2-day hike, staying at one of the campsites inside the park, and some parts of Sarek National Park during my 1-week hike through the area along the Kungsleden long-distance trail. One of the more easily accessible parks within Laponia is Muddus National Park, with the entrance situated a short 15-minute drive from E45 in between the Porius settlement and the small town of Jokkmokk. This park offers an exciting mix of lush forests, expansive marshes, deep canyons, and towering waterfalls well off the beaten track. Here you can explore some of Sweden's most pristine and unspoilt wilderness areas, while at the same time experiencing some true backcountry solitude, since this park is one of the less visited parks in Scandinavia's far north. I myself have explored parts of Muddus National Park, hiking sections of the Muddusleden hiking trail for 2 days, while staying at the backcountry campsite near the Muddus Falls in the heart of the park. This campsite was located on an incredibly picturesque peninsula in the middle of the marshes, offering sweeping views of the surrounding landscapes. Staying overnight in the remote and pristine Arctic landscapes of Swedish Lapland, hours away from the next road, was a memorable experience. The entire area was covered in perfect stillness during the seemingly never-ending golden and blue hours around sunset. However, the next morning, I got to experience some of the typical unsettled weather of the far north when I had to hike back to the park's entrance through wind and rain. A typical Swedish Lapland experience. South of Muddus National Park and just 5 minutes north of Jokkmokk, one of the larger villages of Swedish Lapland, a small paved road winds its way to the wild and rugged mountains of Sarek National Park. With Kvikkjokk at the far end of this road, a particularly picturesque yet extremely remote mountain village serves as a local hub for all kinds of outdoor enthusiasts, with countless fishing, hiking, and hunting opportunities in the surrounding lakes, mountains, and forests. Located along one of Sweden's most popular long-distance hiking trails, this village further offers a convenient and easily accessible point of entry to the Kungsleden Trail, roughly 1.5 hours and 112 kilometers from E45. About 1 hour or 70 kilometers from E45, the small settlement of Jomotis marks the beginning of an unpaved road that leads deep into the remote wilderness of Laponia. After another 20 kilometers, you will eventually reach a bridge that marks the beginning of a hiking trail. There is a simple parking lot nearby that offers no services, so be sure to make your last pit stop at Jokkmokk to stock up before you head up here. The parking lot is the starting point for a hike into some of the most beautiful regions in all of Laponia. The first section marks a moderate and picture-perfect hike leading roughly 17 kilometers or 4 hours through lush forests, along beautiful lake shores, and across vast marshes. While there are no technically difficult passages, the trail itself can be rough and is not too well maintained at some points. However, this journey is well worth it, as this takes you to Idre, the perfect base camp for a variety of outdoor adventures in the middle of Laponia's backcountry. Sometimes referred to as the Gate to Sarek National Park, Idre is located in one of Europe's most spectacular and pristine landscapes. A former farmstead, it is now serving as a mountain hut along the Kungsleden Trail, offering several options for truly adventurous yet comfortable overnight stays. Managed by the Swedish Tourist Association, it is officially open for business from mid-June through mid-September and consists of several buildings containing a front office, small convenience store, and cabins with bunk beds. For those bringing their own tent, there also are tent sites available. This is where I spent a couple of days during my visit to the area in the fall of 2023, when I hiked along the Kungsleden long-distance hiking trail for roughly 1 week. I immediately fell in love with the picture-perfect location of this remote outpost at the foot of the prominent Skirfe mountain. Using the hut as a base camp, I explored the stunning landscape around the nearby river valley, where I got to see some moose and large herds of reindeer up close. Several vantage points along the lakeshore and all over the plateaus of nearby Skirfe mountain offered sweeping views all the way to the towering mountains located in the heart of Sarek National Park. Just a few hundred meters from the eastern park boundaries, Idre was the perfect starting point to explore Europe's last great wilderness. Off the beaten track, yet incredibly wild and exciting, this sums up perfectly the region of Härjedalen. South of Östersund lies the rugged scenery of the Härjedalen Mountains in the far south of Lapland and northern Dalarna. This region boasts one of the highest concentrations of ski resorts in all of Scandinavia, which makes the area a popular travel destination, especially during the winter months. However, the remote backcountry of southern Lapland and northern Dalarna, in between the numerous ski resorts of the Scandinavian mountains, also offers an incredibly dramatic and pristine landscape with world-class hiking trails, which is why the Härjedalen area is well worth visiting year-round. The area also contains the southernmost fjell of the Scandis Mountains, as well as the southernmost Sami settlements, along with their large reindeer herds. In my own experience, this area contains one of Sweden's most beautiful unspoilt landscapes outside Swedish Lapland that is truly off the beaten track. I visited this area in the fall of 2023, when I traveled along the paved and scenic Lofsdalsvägen, and again in the winter of 2024, when I explored the region's incredible snow-covered landscapes for roughly 1 week. With the area being well known for its large bear and moose populations, as well as wolves, lynx, reindeer, and even musk oxen roaming the mountains, the Härjedalen region boasts an incredible variety of wildlife that can be seen almost nowhere else in Scandinavia. In the winter of 2024, I explored the remote forests west of Sonfjällets National Park, via extended snowshoe hikes, and went skiing on the mountains around Lofsdalen. Especially the area around Tännäs and Sonfjällets National Park offers some incredibly dramatic landscapes, as well as vast stretches of pristine and untouched nature. When I stayed in a cabin near Tännäs for a couple of nights, the nearby Rogen Nature Reserve was the perfect destination for some truly exciting and rewarding outdoor adventures. The reserve covers a vast area along Sweden's border with Norway and is filled with dense forests, countless lakes, and open plains. A network of hiking and snowmobile trails led me through the reserve's endless forests and across countless frozen lakes. And a number of shelters along the way allowed me to pause and just enjoy the perfect stillness that was covering the entire subarctic landscape around me. Due to its location in the far north, the days were short, with the sun rising at around 9:30 in the morning and setting just 5 hours later. However, this also meant that the entire day was just one long golden hour with the entire region covered in dramatic colors. And since twilight lasted for another couple of hours, I was able to enjoy some beautiful extended day hikes from 9 in the morning until 4 in the evening. During those days when I was able to brave the freezing cold of up to 25 degrees Celsius below zero, I was further rewarded with some spectacular night skies and sometimes even some polar lights above. However, the absolute highlight was when I went night skiing on the slopes in and around Lofsdalen. During that particular afternoon, the skies were mostly clear with some clouds on the horizon, which made for a beautiful scenery while skiing. Around 7 o'clock that evening, I was sitting in the chairlift when I suddenly noticed an intense light flashing across the skies above. This was the beginning of a stunningly beautiful aurora borealis, which was so intense that its bright green and red colors were clearly visible with bare eyes. The whole spectacle lasted around half an hour. A truly remarkable experience. All in all, I can say that this spectacular region is most definitely worth a visit, offering all kinds of outdoor adventures year-round. Sonfjällets National Park is located right at the heart of the Härjedalen region and is one of the oldest national parks in all of Europe. The center of the protected area comprises an isolated mountain range, which is mostly characterized by open fjäll landscapes surrounded by endless forests. The park is well known for its large population of brown bears and the wolves that roam these mountains and forests. All of this remains a largely undeveloped and pristine wilderness, with no roads leading into the park and only an unpaved access road leading to the park's northern boundary. Inside the park, there is a vast network of hiking trails, as well as some mountain huts and shelters, offering great hiking opportunities. All in all, the region in and around Sonfjällets National Park is located in the heart of a vast remote area that offers little to no developed infrastructure, with only a few small settlements and towns scattered throughout the landscape. I stayed right in the middle of this region in late December of 2024 when I set up camp in a cabin in the woods, located on a farm just outside the park's western boundaries. From there, several hiking trails led right into the dense, snow-covered forests of the park and up the mountains with sweeping views of the surrounding landscapes. This was where I started several snowshoe day hikes to explore some of the pristine wilderness in and around the park. One particular exciting hike led me through the Nordic forests of Nysetern and up the western slopes of the mountains where I entered the national park through a frozen tundra-like landscape. The views of the surrounding wilderness were stunning, and the dramatic golden light of the short subarctic winter days made for an intense atmosphere. Although Nordic winters are generally characterized by perfect stillness, I encountered some wildlife along the way, with a large herd of reindeer crossing my path being my personal highlight. I just stood there watching hundreds of reindeer wandering across the snow-covered tundra against the backdrop of the endless Scandinavian forests reaching all the way to the horizon. As the sun went down, I made my way back across the vast open plains towards the sunlit mountain peaks. Just before returning to my cabin in the dark of Scandinavia's long winter nights, I was rewarded by a display of northern lights visible through the trees towards the northern horizon. A truly memorable Nordic adventure. The high mountains of northern Dalarna are a dream destination for outdoor enthusiasts, nature lovers, and adventure seekers, with several national parks and nature reserves protecting large portions of the area. This means plenty of wildlife viewing, hiking, and camping opportunities. The best and most scenic travel route through this wilderness runs along the unpaved Foskrosvägen, north of Idre, and past Fulufjällets National Park, south of Idre. Incredibly scenic yet remote routes across high plateaus and through lush river valleys where you are mostly by yourselves. Reindeer and moose are both very common in this area and can be easily spotted from the car. Besides that, this area offers countless beautiful picnic areas, camping spots, and hiking trails. I have traveled through this area during my visit in the fall of 2023, when I stayed in Idre for a couple of days. From there, I explored the landscapes along the Foskrosvägen with its lush river valleys, picturesque little mountain villages, endless forests, and vast open plains that offer far-reaching views of the surrounding mountains. Foskros is situated in the middle of a beautiful landscape which makes for perfect photo opportunities along the way. And the densely forested valley in between Foskros and Idre offered numerous ideal spots to kick off my shoes and wander along the roaring river. One of my most memorable experiences was when I was heading back towards Idre one morning after I got up early for a short hike just north of Foskros to watch the sunrise over the mountains. There was a dense mist rising from the surrounding forests, slowly evaporating in the warm light of the rising sun, which gave the entire landscape a mystic atmosphere. As I was driving along the road, I suddenly noticed two moose just standing there, watching me from the side of the road, not bothered at all by my presence even after I stopped the car and rolled down the window to take some pictures. The two of them were clearly wary, but at the same time, incredibly curious. There was nobody else, just pure silence surrounding us as we stared at each other seemingly forever. Only after I started the engine was when the two of them jumped up and disappeared into the woods. Fulufjällets National Park is located in the westernmost portion of Dalarna, right at the Norwegian border, and comprises some of the southernmost parts of Sweden's Skandes mountain range. The park's only access road leads to the Naturum Fulufjället, which is located at the eastern park boundary. During my fall 2023 visit to the area, I explored the area in between the visitor center and the fjell inside the park. This day hike led through a large variety of picturesque landscapes with open marshlands and dense forests, towering waterfalls, steep rocky cliffs, and finally the vast open fields of the fjell at the center of this park. One highlight along the trail was the old Chico spruce tree, one of the oldest trees in the world, being approximately 10,000 years old. About 1 hour off E45 in the Värmland backcountry lies the Glaskogen's Nature Reserve, a vast protected landscape in the remote foothills of the Skandes Mountains' southeastern edge, which is characterized by countless lakes, secluded bays, and idyllic islands in the middle of a densely forested area. All of this is centered around the reserve's two largest lakes, as well as a small and incredibly picturesque settlement offering a visitor center, idyllic and well-developed camping spots, the area's largest canoe and kayak rental, and a bus station, which means this reserve can be reached by car and by bus. The area around these two lakes is well developed for any kind of outdoor activities throughout the year. A large network of hiking trails and shelters along the shoreline offers great ways to explore the reserve by either foot during the summer or via cross-country skiing during the winter. While some shelters and campsites can be reached by car via unpaved Forest Service roads, by far the best way to explore this haven for outdoor enthusiasts is to rent a canoe or kayak and go on a multi-day paddle tour across the lakes. This allows you to set up camp anywhere with countless secluded shelters that can only be reached by boat, as well as beautiful wild camping spots on one of the numerous islands. All official shelters come with a fire pit, an actual shelter for rough weather, pit toilets, and complimentary firewood. I first visited the reserve for one day during the summer of 2021 when I was passing through the area, and I fell in love with these lakes right away. So, I decided to come back again around the 2024 midsummer season, when I used Lenungshammer as a base camp for roughly 1 week. From there, I set out for multiple day hikes and a multi-day kayak paddle tour. For me, the most beautiful experiences were a 4-day fishing and paddle tour with a single kayak. During those 4 days, I explored the entire lake with its countless secluded bays and islands, and set up camp on exposed cliffs and near idyllic beaches, from where I was able to enjoy some stunningly beautiful sunsets with golden hours that seemed to last forever. And I simply enjoyed some peace and quiet in the middle of nowhere, with the occasional local resident stopping by to say hello. All in all, I covered between 30 and 40 kilometers during those 4 days. A trip that was exhausting at times, but absolutely worth it.